What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Yanks of the Cop. We are here, Manchester United, Liverpool Team News Reaction Show. A lot has already come out. Sounds like the match is going to be delayed because the security at Old Trafford is absolutely shit. So it looks like the match is going to be delayed. Haven't gotten any word on how long it's going to be delayed for. To hear back on that. Absolutely pathetic from the Manchester United security. Complete shame on you for allowing this to happen. You knew that they were going to protest. You knew that they were going to be there. And the fact, 200, looks like at least 200 people were able to get out onto the field an hour before the match starts is absolutely pathetic. Shame on you. Absolutely pathetic. Absolutely just what a joke of security by them. So, not sure what this is going to mean. If anyone has seen how long it's going to be delayed, please throw it in the chat. Would love to see that. And if you haven't yet, hit the like and subscribe button. Super appreciate you guys. As more details come out about the match being delayed, one thing I want to do is just take a peek at the lineups. Need 3 points, but it looks like for us, we're going to be going 4-3-3 formation. We have the normal back four. Nat Phillips is back in there. So Robertson, Kabak, Phillips, Alexander-Arnold. 4-3-3 formation. It's going to be Fabinho, Thiago, and James Milner. No Gini Wijnaldum. And then front three is going to be the trusted front three, Sadio Mane, Firmino, and Salah. On the bench, we have Jota, Gini, Shaqiri, Ox, Keita, Curtis Jones, Reece Williams, Tsimikas, and Adrian. So once again, very surprised there at Reece Williams is getting a bench spot over Ben Davies. He's clearly locked in the basement, never getting out. But now when you look at United's line, they have Dean Henderson and then they have Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, and Shaw as the back four. They're playing a 4-2-3-1. McTominay and Fred as their holding. And then Greenwood, Fernandez, Pogba with Rashford up top. On the bench, they have Cavani, Van de Beek, Matic, Mata, Brennan Williams, Tuzanabe, Tellez, Bailey, and De Gea. So no Cavani. Very surprised about that, to be honest with you. I think he's been in fine form for them. So I was really kind of surprised to see him not get the nod. And is Martial injured? Because he didn't even make the bench. So kind of surprised on that as well. So it's going to be an interesting game. Liverpool needs to go out and get 3 points. I don't really think, from a Manchester United perspective, I think they can be a little bit more conservative. They pretty much have that 2 spot locked up. They're in the semifinal of Europa. Obviously, they had that 6-2 win over Roma, so they're in really good shape, looking to go to the final there against either Villarreal or Arsenal. So it's going to be an interesting match. Just to get to a couple things in the chat here. JG, yeah, it's going to be delayed because of protests, but thank you for coming on. Looks like the homies in here. What's up, buddy? Julian, thank fuck Gini on the bench. Yeah, I think that's a lot of people have that. Right now, the rumors are that it is going to be a 6:30 p.m. kickoff, so that's going to delay the game 2 hours. Of course, that messes up my entire day. We'll see how that ends up going. We'll keep an eye on that and just wait until any solid evidence comes out of that. But absolutely, the game has to be delayed. I mean, you can't have at least 200 fans out on the field an hour before the game. Again, shame on United, shame on Old Trafford security. You knew there was going to be a protest today. And the fact that people can just walk into the stadium is absolutely pathetic. So, if anything, they should be punished for that. It's absolutely ridiculous. Hey, massive respect to the United fans. I mean, yeah, respect that. Yeah, I respect them protesting and everything, but once it impacts the actual game, it's not the players' fault that all this stuff has happened. And now that's going to impact the game. The game's going to get delayed 2 hours. They've probably already warmed up. Now they're probably going to have to warm up again. I don't know. I guess props to them for being able to get out on the field, I guess. But, I don't know. I also just think if you're going to protest, please protest in the right way. Don't go out on the field and delay all the games and all of that stuff. That's hurting your own club. That's hurting your own team. That's not message definitely received to the Manchester board and all of that. But I don't know. I just think that protesting outside would have been enough. But yeah, no, I agree. It definitely was coming, right? And hopefully it's a wake up call to all the teams that were involved in the Super League. Because again, like I'm not saying I condone them going out in the field, but hell, like message received, right? Like that's definitely going to cause shockwaves through the news. It's going to cause shockwaves to other teams. Like everyone's going to know about this. So I do give them credit for that they've definitely made a loud protest there. As long as it's not causing harm to anyone too, though, as long as everyone's safe, that was my only concern though too. 200 people with no security out in the field, like, could they have gone down the tunnel or anything like that? Obviously they haven't, which is good, but it's just a lot of security concerns there. But Dan, what's up, man? Thanks for coming in. Yeah, pleased to see Fabinho in the midfield as well. Yeah, pretty shit security. Yeah, I mean, it's leakier than Arsenal's defense. It's awful. It's really, really pathetic. Yeah, the security should be sacked. I mean, not only that, but I mean, I think it goes a long way, though. I think it's not even just the security. I mean, it's who oversees the security. Like, that there's protests that are going to be at the stadium today, and how the hell do you allow that to happen? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, the writing was on the wall. Everyone knew that there was going to be a mass gathering of people outside the stadium. So you would think, okay, like you probably need extra security today. And if you did get extra security and they still get out on the field, then every single one of them should be fired. Absolutely. Completely agree with you there, Ian. But team buses have been readied. Does that mean they're going to be leaving the stadium or coming into the stadium? Not too sure on that. Have they even arrived? Like, are the players even there yet? Like, I don't know. This is going to be interesting. But as more news comes out about this delay and all of that, I do want to touch on the lineup because obviously Dean Henderson in net for them. But when I look at it from a Liverpool perspective, a couple things. So it looks like, with the front three, Mane, Firmino, and Salah, it looks like he's going with his tried and tested. I think, especially since that first leg against Madrid, Jota really hasn't been in that same form that he was when he was firing on all cylinders. He definitely has dropped down a little bit. I know some people want Mane to see some bench time too, but it is unfortunately with our injuries and with everything else and just our lack of depth on up top. Like, Divock Origi didn't even make the bench. So like there's not many options to sub out Mane and have somebody else start. So I'm totally fine with that, especially with no Genie in there and going with Thiago, Milner, and Fabinho. I think it makes more sense to have Firmino as the false nine in there, have him help with the pressing coming back, and especially going against Manchester United, who has that three line there of Greenwood, Bruno, and Pogba. That's very dangerous. And I think that just having Firmino sit in a little bit more, and have him just cause problems, hopefully for Fred and McTominay. Hopefully he can just help a little bit, stop those passes going into them and make it a little bit more difficult for them coming out of their back. But otherwise, on our side, what I'm looking at is the side of Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka. I think Bali is so significantly better than Lindelof. I know he's just kind of coming back from injury, but when I see Lindelof in there, I want Firmino, Mane, Robertson to really attack that side. And that's why I'm really, really happy that James Milner is getting the start as well. Because one thing that James Milner does incredibly well is allow Robertson to get forward and overlap Mane, because Milner's always more defensive. We know that. So he does probably better than anybody else, filling in for Robertson, like having him sit in and then have him go forward. So that would be great. I think if those three can really just attack that Wan-Bissaka and Lindelof side, I think that's going to be one area where we might be able to do well, because we've obviously seen Luke Shaw, and that's going to be another huge matchup, Luke Shaw versus Mo Salah, because Luke Shaw has been phenomenal this year. Absolutely great. Pretty much at the moment they signed Alex Telles, he got that kick in the ass, and he's been playing absolutely world class. He's earned a spot in the England team, that's for sure. And that's going to be a tough matchup for Mo. And we've seen Mo this year struggle when he goes against better left backs. So I want to see how he responds today. I want to see if he can put the team on his back a little bit and win that matchup. Because if he can win that matchup as well, and we can win those two matchups out on the wing, that would be absolutely huge. I do feel confident in Mane and Robertson overlapping and winning that. So going into a couple of things here, it looks like Sky Sports just said the teams are still at the hotels en route to the ground blocked. No talks of the teams leaving yet. And then a couple of things on the actual line. Michael Oliver has been allowed into the stadium. That's a good sign. Wahome here, United's pace up top, a huge concern for Quebec and Phillips. That's why Greenwood over Cavani. Yep, I agree. I'm actually just about to touch on that. And then Dan here from Who's That? I'm sorry. This is Steven Stubbs. My fault, man. Pleased with the team. Fabinho and Milner back four. Surprised Phillips is playing as I didn't think he trained all week. Thiago free. Hopefully the front three will be on form today. Yeah, and that brings me to my next point is the other key matchups here. Rashford starting up top over Cavani. He has a lot more pace than Cavani. And then you think about Mason Greenwood as well. I think those two guys are going to cause a lot of problems for Quebec and Phillips. We've seen Quebec and Phillips, when they go up against pace, have some struggles with that. And that's definitely going to be a huge concern, especially because I don't think, like Steve Stubbs here said, I don't think that Phillips has practiced much this week. So he's kind of getting put back in there. And, how is his fitness levels right now? That's going to be a huge concern. And I think having Fabinho start at the 6 will be a help. He can hopefully cause some problems for Bruno and just make it a little bit more difficult for them. But I think this is the lineup that you have to go with. You have to take risks. I think this is the best version of the team. We've seen the stats when Fabinho plays at center back, although he's very good at center back, we don't win. We have a lot better of a record when he plays in the midfield. And I just love Fabinho, Milner, Thiago midfield. All three of those guys aren't afraid to go into a tackle. They all play hard. This also, I think, going to get more forwards. I think Milner and Fabinho will sit back a little bit more and allow Thiago to play with that space. Maybe have some link-up play with Firmino and the guys up front. But I think that's the right thing to do. Nibble in the chat. Keep firing off your opinions. We'd love to touch on them. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't yet. Sounds like we might be here a while with the match getting delayed a little bit. So we'll keep you updated on that. But other than that, I'm also really interested to see how a guy like Trent does today. Because going on a 4-2-3-1, Pogba is going to be on his side. Is he going to be able to get forward enough? Because I think Mo will need some assistance. I think obviously the Shaw matchup is going to be a tough one. But I think if Trent can get forward and help overlap on that side as well, that could just keep them on their toes a little bit. Pull Fred out of that middle spot as well, and try to free up some more space for Thiago, Firmino, and Co in the middle of the park. So there's pretty much a storyline in the matchup on all levels of the field today, which is what I really, really like about this game. I wish it wasn't on Old Trafford. We have a very poor record at Old Trafford, but I think the guys know that if we win today, we still have a really good shot at top 4. We'll be 4 points out of Chelsea for the 4th spot, and they have a very tough run in the game still. So they have to go out and try and go find 3 points today, no matter what. And if you lose, at least go out fighting and go out as fighting as hard as you can. But Sophie here, she's going to be on for the live watch along with us as always. At the end of the day, lineup is decent, all things considered. But if the front three are taking, the chances being critical, the result writes itself. Very defensive midfield. I hope Thiago creates more. Otherwise, we're getting ran over. Yeah, and I think that's spot on, right? What is it? We've had like 130 shots or something at Anfield and only like 1 or 2 goals so far, 4 goals, something like that. Yeah, we have to be more clinical. Pretty much since the turn of the calendar, we have just lost all of our ambition and just our clinicalness. And I never thought I'd say that about this team. I thought that was one of the things that we were really good at. But yeah, I think if we can make the most of our chances, Dean Henderson's a good keeper, but he can make mistakes at times. And we saw what he did last year at Sheffield when we played them and just allowed that easy genie goal to go in. Like, let's just test goalies. We haven't done that at all. Like, we can't hit the net. And when we do hit the net, we shoot it right at the keeper. So I also want to see us be a little bit more ambitious with our shots. Stop waiting until the opportune moment when you're on the 6-yard box or at 10 yards out at the penalty spot to take a shot. Like, don't be afraid to shoot from outside the box. Let's go out and get it, and just see what happens. And the more you shoot from outside the box, that's going to keep that back line kind of anxious to take a step forward, not allow you to shoot, and that's just going to open up passing lanes to go right through. So I do want to see the front three and even Thiago rip some shots. Anytime you get an open opportunity, take the shot. Stop trying to always make the extra pass. If you have a lane, take the lane. Steve Stubbs again here. We just have to make sure we don't play a high line. Otherwise, that's suicide. Hope we just have our shooting boots on today. Yeah, and I agree. I don't think both teams are going to get a ton of chances. I really don't. And I think you're right about the high line. I think, especially with Phillips coming back from injury, I hope we play a lot less of the high line today. The communication's just been really off with that. I think Kabak is a little bit more comfortable. Yeah, I think Kabak is a little bit more comfortable with Phillips only because he's played more with Phillips. So I don't know. I think I don't want to see a high line, especially with Rashford's pace. And I was actually kind of surprised that we didn't see Rashford in that where kind of Pogba's playing, because we've seen Rashford in the past win that matchup against Trent. And I'm sure Rashford's going to attack that Phillips and Trent Alexander-Arnold side a lot, and probably Pogba will too. But that's another thing I want to see there is can Pogba say, can Pogba and Rashford win against Trent, and can Trent, win his battle defensively? Because again, if he gets caught up too far and we don't have that back, that's going to be a huge problem with their pace that they have. Pretty much all like Greenwood, Fernandez, Rashford, they all have decent pace. So it's just that could cause a lot of problems for our back line. And we've seen Kabak and Phillips struggle with that. Robinson hasn't really been his same self in the last couple of months, and Trent's been wildly inconsistent as well. I think Trent's done a lot better defensively. It's just really offensively where he struggled. So I want to see a lot more of that. I want to see him be a little bit more defensive first, and then just pick his chances to get forwards. Because if we lose our discipline, that front four that they have, Pogba, Fernandez, Greenwood, and Rashford, would cause a ton of problems for us. So, Marian, thanks for coming in. We appreciate you. Yeah, Premier League did announce that the kickoff's going to be delayed. So we'll have some time before the match here. Everyone, get your food in you, get your coffees, get your drinks, whatever it is. We gotta rest up, be ready for it. Steve, can I do another inspirational speech like I did before the Madrid game? Yeah, I can do that. I have a speech that I can do for sure. I won't get to it right now. I'll close out with a speech, I guess. But we drew that game, although it was a really good performance from us. But anything that will help. If you guys think it will help, fuck it, let's do it. But yeah, 10 people in here so far. Please give me all your thoughts. On the lineup, any key matchups that you want to talk about. Feel free to let me know. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't yet. It helps more Liverpool fans see this channel and helps us get big guests like we do, like James Pierce, Robbo from the Anfield Wrap. We actually have some big guests lined up for this summer as well. Chris Williams from the Bundesliga reporter. James Pierce is going to come on again. So the more viewers and the more likes and the more subscriptions that we get, this gives us a little bit more credibility and allows us to have these conversations with these awesome folks. So we really, really appreciate you. Yeah, Sophie, I know. Okay, and it's 11:15 here, but I still haven't had my first coffee yet, and because I wanted to jump on here, and I really need it. I'm dragging ass right now. But other than that, I want to talk a little bit about. Oh wow, there's clashes between fans and police outside the stadium. This is getting a little crazy now. I wouldn't be surprised if the game gets called off at this point, gets rescheduled, but this is again, the police didn't do anything to them. I'm just reading up on a couple things. Oh my god! Here's a tweet from Laurie Whitwell. Old Trafford Place on lockdown as fans get onto pitch. Hundreds make their way through the stadium and exit the other side. Security taking a sensible approach, letting them out the gates, where the team coaches should arrive later. I don't know how absolutely pathetic. Nev's face is a picture. He's fuming. Love that. Just want last year and beginning of this season, Mane for today. Yeah, honestly, I think that's it. Honestly, I think when you really think about our performances too, I think that even despite all the injuries, defense really hasn't been the issue since the turn of the calendar. It's really just been not being able to score, not being able to get we ultimately have to create 20 chances a game to get one goal, and that's the problem. That's the 100% the issue. And I think, yeah, like homie said, I think all Liverpool fans are in the same boat right now. This season has just been a season of hell. And the one thing though the one positive I have on this year is that this is Everton's best season in a long time, and they still are underneath us. And the highlight of their season is going to be just ruining our season with 2 key injuries at the beginning of the year. So this shows how pathetic of a club they are. I don't even know why I brought them up, but they're just such a laughable club. Such a joke. They brought in Ancelotti. They were on top of the table, 4 games into the season, thought that they were going to do everything this year. And the Everton are who we thought they were. They're just always be the little brother. Always be the little brother. Other than that, I want to get to my prediction. I'm going to talk about my prediction for the match. I don't think there's going to be a ton of chances. I do think that we're going to see another Bruno penalty 20th of the year. I think that's we're at Old Trafford. Luckily, it's Michael Oliver as the referee, so I think he's probably the best one in England. But yeah, I still think that he'll probably get a penalty just because he is Penendez. We know that. It's going to be a tough one for Liverpool, though. I have some confidence because honestly, what I think is you get the 3 points. We're 4 points back at Chelsea with their tough run in, and anything can happen at that point. But if we don't win, it's going to be tough for us to get top 4, even despite Chelsea's tough run in. I want to say that Liverpool are going to win, but we never have a good record at Old Trafford, especially under Klopp. I don't even think we have a win yet. I think we have a couple draws, and that's pretty much it. So, and especially with our form as of late, how are we going to get a goal? How are we going to get 2 or 3 goals to really put this game away, even if we do get 1? So I could see it being a draw, something like a 1-1 draw, something like that. If the game even ends up getting played at this point, I still can't believe the security is just what an absolute joke. And yeah, I mean, at one point here is that these United fans, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these people are. I think a lot of these people also are going to get in trouble. These United fans, they're pretty much they're getting on TV for being on the field, and now all their faces and everything are going to be on there. So I'm wondering to see if anything else is going to happen to these guys down the road, because you have literally images of them on the field. You can look at their picture, you can look at their face, and ultimately just, it's gonna be really interesting. So new chat around FSG saying how desperate we are for Everton on Project Big Picture for getting his team we're involved. Yeah, well, that's Neville for you. Neville's just ridiculous. I love the pictures that Sophie's putting on there. I mean, this is just an absolute joke. I don't even. This is such a joke. Anyway, but getting back to some lineup stuff here, and really, the key we talked about Kabak, Phillips going against the pace. I mean, another thing I think we have to talk about too is just the midfield battles against each other. And I love the fact that we went Fabinho, Milner, and Thiago. I think those 3 guys aren't afraid to go into a tackle, and I would love to see Milner in the first 10 minutes put Bruno on his ass early, just let him know you're not going to get anything easy. Milner's good that way, and I also hope that his leadership can help keep the team organized a little bit. And I think Fabinho, him just thinking very defensive, cutting out any passes that Bruno could hit would be helpful. And I also like that Milner's going to be on the same side as Greenwood, because if he can be physical with him and just delay his runs up the pitch, he and Robertson, if Robertson can have some shithousery today, I think that'd be really good for us. It's really just that other side, Pogba, and when Rashford comes over, and even Bruno, and if Shaw makes an overlapping run against Trent and Nat Phillips, because I think Thiago, although he's lined up on that side, I think he's going to be pushed up a little bit more forwards, because he's going to be the creative guy for us in the midfield. So can our midfield be disciplined enough, stay organized. They can. I think Milner and Fabinho ultimately have to play almost as a double pivot. Like neither one of those guys can get too far up the pitch. Like we're going to need both of those guys there to ultimately just block any passes that get in there and allow Thiago the freedom to just try to find a way to use his creativity in the passes that. Now, Thiago, the reason why he got brought in here is he hits passes better than so many other people on the team. He sees passes and finds guys in a way that nobody else on our team can. And I think that's going to be massive today, especially with McTominay and Fred as a double pivot for them. Firmino is going to be, trying to press a lot more today and trying to cut out passing lanes. So can Thiago find Mane and Salah? That's another huge key for me. So again, just to kind of highlight, I think the Lindelof Wan-Bissaka side is an area that we can potentially win. Milner sitting back, allowing Robertson to overlap Mane and attack those two. I think Wan-Bissaka has been incredibly average this year. I don't think he's done anything special at all. I think Trent needs to pick his moments of getting forward. I don't think he can get forward consistently, but I think when he has the time, he should get forwards. And then Thiago, I want to see him be the midfield maestro that we thought he was going to be here. I want to see him all over the pitch, almost like Steven Gerrard was, coming deep to receive a ball when he has to, staying high when he has to, being the link-up play to Firmino, Mane, and Salah. I think Firmino needs to have a big day today as well. I mean, ultimately, everybody on the team needs to have a big day, but Firmino especially, he needs to be pressing. He needs to really do a better job of connecting with Mane and Salah, because when he's playing well, he has the best link-up play with those guys, no doubt about it. But recently, his passes have been a little bit off. His motor hasn't really been the same. So I just want to see him bust his ass. And if he has to come off at 65 minutes because he's worked his tail off, that's fine. That's when we bring Jota in for that jolt of energy. But that's really key for me. I mean, apparently Gary Neville's completely exposing himself. I think it goes off of what Sophie was saying here, but no surprise. I mean, that's what he does. He loves Manchester United. He's always going to do that shit. So it is what it is. But anyway, I honestly thought I was buying City when I put the bid in the bag. They just told me Manchester. Joel Glazer. Yeah, this is awesome. Shout out to you, man. Thanks for coming in and sharing that. That's awesome. But obviously now we're gonna have some time with this match being postponed. So please check out our pre-match show that we have with our Manchester United pal Tom. We had an awesome show yesterday breaking down the matchup. So if you haven't checked that out yet, definitely go ahead and check that out. It was an awesome show that Sophie ran and Wahomie ran with Tom. But then otherwise, whenever the show goes live, we will be back for the watch along. We'll be touching, giving our comments throughout the match. Angie, Wahomie, myself, and Sophie will all be on that, the full squad. So it should be a lot of fun. Let me see. So I think kickoff is 6:30 now. Yeah, I think it got dropped down to 1:30. Again, puts a little bit of a wrench in my day, but it is what it is. So anyway, so I think my official prediction is going to be 1-1. I think it's not going to be too many chances. And I'm just really frustrated with this whole situation. Every single one of these security guards should be fired. It's an absolute joke. And no, it's just I don't think this is good for. I don't think this is good for the teams. I don't think this is good for the players. Like having this get delayed. And people better be just punished for this. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see if Manchester United fans are going to get punished. The guys who got out in the field again, they have their faces and everything. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here. But anyway, one thing I wanted to cover too was just taking a quick look at our bench because, again, like what I said, was no Divock Origi. Ben Davies is still locked in his little crate in the basement. The fact that Reece Williams is up over him is a huge red flag. Samikas, he made it out. He's there. That's good. So I'm just taking a look at it. I think Gini Wijnaldum is probably a guaranteed sub in my opinion, whether we're winning or losing. Apparently, they broke down the doors at the main entrance. That's how supporters got on the pitch. So, terrible. Davies doesn't exist. No, he's a made up player that we're just gonna somehow get money for in the summer window. Summer window is going to be massive for us. Got to go get a lot of money, and it sounds like Klopp thinks they're gonna bring in a lot of quality, which is good. Hope to see that. Hit that like and subscribe button if you guys haven't yet. But yeah, to get back to my point here, what I wanted to talk about with our bench, I think Jota, if we're losing, Jota will probably have to come on. I think that he's really the one guy that we'd be able to bring on. I think Gini Wijnaldum is probably going to come on as well at some point. The fact that he's not playing, he always seems to play in big matches though, so I think he'll come on. And other than that, I think we could put maybe a Naby Keita or Curtis Jones, depending on where we're at in the game. I think if we need a little bit more creativity, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Curtis Jones come on. Naby hasn't played since the Madrid game, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got some minutes as well, especially if we're still chasing the 3 points. But the one thing I kind of noticed is that we don't have a ton of if we get the lead, who's going to come off? Genie would really be the guy I think that would be able to come on, and I guess maybe Naby, but I don't think you trust Reece Williams in this type of game. I don't think you trust Samikas in this type of game. So I really think that those two would really be the only two guys that could come on. I don't think Shaqiri or Ox will feature in this match. So I really think you're going to be looking at potential subs would be Jota, Wijnaldum, Keita, and Jones, depending on what the score is and that. Surprised that Jota didn't start. Yeah, a little bit. I am a little bit surprised, but also not really surprised. I mean, again, since that first leg against Madrid, his form has dropped off pretty significantly, and we have seen in big matches that Klopp likes to go with this. He's tried and tested. And I think that's going to be key for us to have Firmino in this match to start, especially as the cutoff passing lanes. And even in the second leg against Madrid, we saw how much better we played with Firmino in there and a few other guys in there. I know Jordan started too. We started 4-2-3-1, but I really expect Firmino to be much more defensive and even defensive to the point to allow Thiago maybe to overlap him at times. I think Thiago really needs to get involved with this offense for us to get some goals. He needs to get forward, and I think that Milner and Fabinho and Firmino will help him do that. But that is going to be key for us to try to slow down the ball going into Greenwood, Fernandes, and Pogba. And I think that's why you see this lineup the way it is. And I think that if we can get into the match at the 60th minute, 70th minute, and it's still tied, Jota could come in and change the game. And I think that's what he's been really good at this year. Maguire we know Maguire, he's a fridge. He doesn't move very, very well. It's the same thing. He's a fridge. Wan-Bissaka, he's good at tackling, but he doesn't have a ton of pace, and his positioning is shit. So I think if we can manage to be tied going into the 60th minute and then bring on a guy like Jota with his movement and the movement that he has with Mane and Salah would be a huge issue for Man United to deal with at the end of the game with tired legs when they already don't move well as it is in the back. So I think that's why Jota is going to be coming off the bench today. I think that's the number one. And then from there, again, I think I could see Gini Wijnaldum coming on for James Milner at some point in the second half, and then Thiago potentially coming off for either Curtis Jones and Naby Keita, one of those two guys. I mean, those are really the only subs I think that would make sense, barring yellow cards, injuries, anything like that. But I think ultimately you'd have to keep the back line there. And yeah, I mean, I think that's ultimately what we're going to be looking at there. And then from the Manchester United perspective, they have Cavani to be their super sub if they need. I think you'd ultimately come off for a guy like Rashford or Greenwood. They also have Matic there. If Matty has to come in, if they have the lead, he'd be their defensive sub, I think. I think Biley could see some minutes as well. Subbing in for Lindelof if he's getting burnt. But yeah, I think for them, maybe even Juan Mata, if they need to go and get a goal, he could potentially come on as well. So I think those would be the guys to be looking at from the Manchester United perspective. But again, official prediction 1-1. It's going to be not a ton of chances, in my opinion. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's kind of a boring game. That being said, now that I said that, it's probably going to be like 4-3, something like that, just because that's my luck when it comes to this stuff. So, but let me know what your predictions are in the match. Any goal scorers? I think for us, I think Mane will score. I think that's the key matchup for us. So I'd love to hear your overall predictions as well. Let me know in the chat. I'll put it up there. But anyway, I have the speech for you. I know we're home. Has been waiting for it. So I'm going to give one last motivational speech here. I'm going to need some water before I drop this. Hit that like and subscribe button. Yeah, I agree, especially if Mane scores. He scored recently. No, it didn't play that great. It was a pretty easy goal too. But I think if he can get a couple goals under his belt, we need prime Mane in this run of games here. We need prime front three in these run of games, to be honest with you. And that's been the scary thing, is all of the injuries that we've had defensively, the offense has been the biggest issue. And I know like Van Dijk and Gomez, Henderson, like those guys help our defense so much. But they help our offense so much. But you would think that the quality in the front three would still be good enough to carry us, and they've had plenty of chances to score. It's just they're not putting it in the way. So it is speech time. We'll get to that right now. So to kick things off, hey, oh wow, look at that! Thank you. Awesome. No, I'm good. Thanks. Just had my breakfast delivered at 11:30 here, but all right, here comes the speech. The speech is called "Make It Count." So to Liverpool, when you guys step out on that field, everybody is equal today. Talent, it means nothing. They may have some more talent than you, but if you show more heart, if you show more focus, if you just decide that this day you will never accept second place to anyone, if you do that, if you do all of that, there is no one that we cannot defeat, and there is no one that will want to challenge us ever again. So do you want to go out there like every other player, like every other team, or do you want to stand up this day to make this day count? Make it count. Leave your heart and soul out on that field today. Make them remember who we are. Make them scared to ever set foot on this pitch with us ever again. Make them remember who you are, and they will remember who you are. They will remember who you are. Make it count. Are you ready? Are you all ready? Every tackle, make it count. Every challenge, make it count. Every contest, every shot, every pass, make it count. Again, every tackle, every challenge, every contest, every shot, and every pass. Make it all count. Stand up today. Today is the day that we write the Liverpool future. You decide who will walk away a winner. Nobody else will. Today, if you go down, get your ass back up. If you feel pain, tell yourself there is no pain. The only pain that exists is the pain of defeat. And today, we will not be defeated. If Man United is tough, we're going to be tougher. Today, we're going to make it count. Today, we set the tone for the rest of our season, for the rest of our lives. That tone is of somebody who will not be defeated. We are warriors. We are beasts. Someone that is not of this world. Your opponent today will have no choice but to give up, because you will not give up. They will have no choice. Fight with every fiber in your body to win every challenge, every tackle, to win this day. Are you ready to fight? Are you ready? Get out there and make today count. Let's go. We'll be back, live watch along when the game starts. Up the mighty Reds. We'll see you all then. Let's go out and get the 3 points, baby. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll see you all very soon. Let's go.